Hey folks, my name is Steve Adderholt. I'm your race director for Cocodona. We have another info session for you. This is the first info session in March. We are going to be dropping these every couple of weeks leading into the race. We're 2 months out now. I hope your training is well underway and you're starting to ramp up now. We have a good set of guests for you here today. Our guests are going to be from Tailwind. They are both Cocodona veterans. Tailwind is our electrolyte nutrition partner. They're based in Durango, the gateway to the beautiful San Juan Mountains, one of my favorite ranges. Tailwind's mission, like their nutrition, is simple. They're here to help you reach your goals while enjoying every mile of the journey, which I think is a perfect tagline for a partnership with Cocodona. So we've got Maggie and Sarah from Tailwind. Guys, welcome very much.
Hey, Steve.
Hey there. Why don't you guys introduce yourself? Maggie, what you want to get us started?
Yeah, I'm Maggie Gutturl. I'm the athlete manager at Tailwind Nutrition, also an ultra runner, and I ran Cocodona the inaugural year. So I was one of the guinea pigs.
Yeah, our first female finisher ever of Cocodona.
Yeah, probably the slowest winning finish time for a female ever,
Well,
too,
that
for the
was
race.
that was the hard year. I think no one will dispute that.
I think they're all hard. But
Yeah,
yeah, Sarah's run it, what, 3 times, so she could tell you.
yeah, yeah. Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarah Ostaszewski, an athlete with Tailwind, also an ultra runner. I have done Cocodona 3 times in the first year, second year, and then the third year. So it was fun kind of running with Maggie that first year. It was a really, really tough race, but I kept coming back. So it is a
Yeah,
great
cool.
event. I really have a lot of fun. So it's good to be coming back this year.
Oh yeah, that's thanks for saying that. Yeah, yeah. You took a year off last year and then coming back. What was the motivation there for coming back this year?
Yeah, I was getting a little bit of FOMO. I was outpacing Joe Corcione last year, but I saw, there's like that small handful of people who have done it all 4 years now, might be coming back for the fifth year, and they were getting 1,000 miles on the course. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a cool milestone. So yeah, I'd like
Yeah,
to get 1,000 miles on the course and be back for the fifth running of this event.
yeah. We're stoked to have you back. You'll if you cross that finish line, which I have no doubt that you will. You'll get 1,000 mile Cocodona buckle, which we're super stoked to have that as a new addition. I think that we have 5 folks that have run. This will be the 5th year for them, and I was like, "We're gonna have a 5 year gift for you," and they're like, "All right, we'll come back." And then now I'm like, "Well, it's actually a 4 year gift, so I'm gonna have to do something special because I convinced them to come back for a 5th year." Thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna talk about Tailwind along the course and talk about your years competing out on the course. I'm going to pull up and embarrass you guys a little bit. Pull up a couple of pictures here if we want to swap over Jordan to my screen. So we got Maggie here. Maggie, was this right after you crossed the finish line?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like the finish, so I
I
think.
I mean, you look so fresh. I would have assumed looking at this picture that you went home to put showered and changed clothes and then came back to the finish. You look super fresh.
I don't know. It's like my shirt, that shirt was really dirty. I think if you it was the other facing the other way, there's like bloody snot all over that
Oh,
other
great.
sleeve.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, you were out, and then you had was this is this a friend of yours, or you have a crew person helping you? Who is this?
Yeah, I forget her name. No one probably knows her, but it's Courtney. She Courtney DeWalter, who will be running this year. She
Yeah,
came
sweet.
out and paced me a couple places the first year, her and Kevin, and then also Kevin and her paced Jamil. So they practically ran the whole course already. So
Well, sweet. Well, that's good for her because she's coming out this year, and we're stoked to have her, another Tailwind athlete, coming
yep.
out. And then Sarah, I think this was from 2023. I'm not.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, 2023. This was your pre-race photo, and then this is you coming across the finish for that first female finish. What were you thinking at this point right here?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, if you zoom in, like, I do not look as fresh as Maggie coming across the finish line. I was so tired. My pacer Kyle Curtin did that last section with me, and he mentioned the time, somewhere around the time that I was gonna cross the finish line. I just couldn't believe it. So I feel like this finish was super special to me just because there's the third time, at this event. I was kind of like really working hard for this finish, and it turned out, it was just a great week. It turned out really well. I feel like I had a great race. So yeah, it meant the world to me to cross that finish line that year.
Oh, that's cool. Well, yeah, every finish is special, but yeah, I love pulling up those pictures of y'all from previous years. That's great. Sarah,
I mean, you could
what?
note the time of day that she finished in the morning. I finished a whole day later. So
Well,
the,
that first year really was a lot harder. We didn't know, none of us knew what we were getting into, and a lot of those sections of trail that I was like, oh, we got to add this single track and this, we got to add this trail, and they were really hard sections that have since been cut out. So yeah, it's understandable why it was a little bit later for you crossing. But the field this year is super strong. The female field is a very strong field. Sarah, what do you think of the women's field this year?
It is a really strong field. I'm kind of excited to see everyone's strategies and see how everyone handles this course. I think a few of us have done, like, Mika, I think, is coming back. I'm kind of excited to race with her. I know she's been out there a few times and has done really well. It'll be really cool to have Courtney out there. Yeah, I think I'm really excited to just have a strong women's field and have everyone kind of like tuning into this event and seeing what happens. Like I know the men's field kind of was the focus last year. Um, I yeah, more so than like the women's field, but I feel like a lot of eyes will be on the women's field this year, which is really exciting. Like I know, um, I feel like Cocodona, it's hopefully getting like the attention, just like encouraging more women to sign up for this distance. So it is cool to have such a strong field. Yeah, I don't know what the full number of women in the entire field, but yeah, with like I think the level of athletes in the field this year, it's just gonna bring more eyes to the event and get people excited about trying this distance.
Yeah, that's a good point about the percentage of male female across the board. We are with the four distances, the shorter distances were greater than 50% female. Stoked about that. For the 250 distance, we're sitting at 33% female, and one of my goals, as much as I can steer the ship around this, is to get over 50% in all the distances. So I agree. I hope this year's super strong field helps with that in the future. That would be really awesome. So we're going to talk about Tailwind. You guys are both Tailwind athletes. Tailwind is a partner for the race and going to be providing their great nutrition along the course at aid stations. Maggie, tell us about Tailwind and how long you've been with Tailwind.
yeah, I've been that's what brought me out to Durango. I've been with excuse me. I ran hogsback this morning. It was very cold, so my lungs are kind of like Sarah just she decided to sleep in. So I've been with Tailwind like 6 years. That's what brought me out to Durango. Yeah, I mean, I've used the product before I worked there. Jeff and Jenny, the owners, are athletes. They are cyclists. So they're very adamant about keeping the business in Durango, which is really cool because it's a mountain town. It's not like the cheapest place to make products and things. So that's super cool. And obviously, we're super excited to be part of Cocodona this year because everyone in our company gets really excited about Cocodona every year. Like they follow it, regardless. We've had our artists reminded us of the stat that the first 3 years we had a Tailwind athlete win from the female side, except for last year. So yeah, so there's a good chance we can get that crown back with a Tailwind athlete.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that all of our partners for the race And I mean, it's probably not a coincidence, but they're all really good people. They're all authentic in the space, and all of them participate in the race, outside of just being partners. So I love that bleeds through to Tailwind as well. Um, uh, Tell us why you think Tailwind is such a great fit for a race of this distance, and what stands, what sets Tailwind apart from other nutrition products.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to drink, which is the most important thing when you're running super far. The amount of calories you got to keep taking in, it's going to be hard. Chewing gets hard. I think towards the end of Cocodona, I was just literally just on liquid. Um, you just have to get calories in whether you want to or not. And I think drinking them is the easiest. I think when the flavors are lighter, and they're not super strong, that's just, it's easier to keep consistent and keep doing that. The sugars we use are designed to be easy on your stomach. I think the main thing you would just look out for at Cocodona is like, just in general, don't overload yourself with fructose. So like too many fruit type things like watermelon or oranges or those other fructose heavy fruits. Bananas are more glucose heavy. So like that's fine, but just pay attention to that over that long of a distance. But obviously you're going to eat probably real food with it. So it's just so great to supplement and you're getting your electrolytes. I did not use salt pills. Like it didn't, that was enough electrolytes for me. Um, One thing I noticed at night is like I don't need as many electrolytes and I just start peeing constantly. So like just pay attention to that and you could back off your electrolytes. Just something to keep in mind. And I think number one, the worst thing that I experienced after Cocodona was the pain in your mouth, like, there are all these sores from so much sugar, and I learned this from Kyle when he did the Colorado Trail, and Sarah was all along for the whole way, was he literally just did gels and Tailwind the whole time, and he would immediately rinse with water after. So I think that's, like, a really good tip you should do, which I did not do. I would maybe drink water, but, like, you swish it around and spit it out so the sugar doesn't sit in your mouth and irritate it, and he had, like, no mouth issues, so I think that could avoid that was, like, the longest after my legs were better, it's still my mouth hurt, so
Yeah, that mouth
just be
fatigue
careful of that
is real.
sugar.
Huh.
Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome tip. That's great. So rinse your mouth out. That's great. I love when I'm at an aid station and I see people brushing their teeth. I'm like, yeah, I guess that
You should probably do that too. It's pretty
yeah. I mean,
Your dentist
we're out
wants you
there.
to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Sarah, can you talk about at Cocodona your strategies for staying hydrated through the race?
Yeah, I think for me, I get enough like sodium and electrolytes with like the single packet of Tailwind plus a flask of water. So 500 milliliters of the Tailwind packet and then water and drink those, both of those things over an hour. Like that, it's enough for me for electrolytes and salt and everything. So I love to have the Tailwind packets. I know every year at Crown King, I've only had a drop bag and I'll always put Tailwind in my drop bag there so I can fill up and then take it with me to go. It's super easy to carry Tailwind on the go. I think Cocodona is nice because there are a lot of crew aid stations not too far apart. So it is nice to carry the Tailwind myself, but like my crew has always had Tailwind. It's easy for them to like pre-mix bottles and stuff to swap that out. And then I really like the Tailwind recovery at crew aid stations. It's just a nice hit of calories and some protein along the way. And it really helps, I think, in the long run to get something like Tailwind recovery in as you're on the go, and taking in maybe like a little more substantial foods, hot foods that are prepared at aid stations as well. So yeah, it's just super easy with Tailwind to get the calories in constantly along with the water. I think something that I learned at Moab 240 this past year, like it was just so hot that I ended up, if I use a bladder with my pack, I always have that just plain water. So I was like essentially guzzling water and not keeping up with Tailwind, and that threw off my like electrolyte balance a little bit. So I had to like catch back up. In that case, I did end up drinking more Tailwind, focusing on drinking like just Tailwind for a little while to catch up, and then a couple, I think, salt stick chews, I want to say, just to catch up. I had too much water, so yeah, just something to keep in mind to make sure you're getting the electrolyte mix and water as you're going along.
Yeah, that's a good way to keep track of it. A couple of things that you mentioned I think are really key for people. So having crew go up to Crown King, that's like a huge time suck for crew to have to drive all the way up Crown King and drive all the way back. You know, they're waiting for you up there. It's crowded and busy. So it sounds like you just have your crew skip ahead and you don't see them until Whiskey Row. So like that whole first day, you're kind of on your own. You just have to drop back. That's smart. I've heard a lot of people that use that strategy as well. And then you were saying, do you do 2 flasks, one of just water, one of Tailwind? And then you try to hit that every hour as you're taking in a flask of Tailwind. Yeah, that's great too. I think that's a good way to keep on track. Just a very simple way to keep track of the electrolytes that are going in. And then I also love your trick of, you know, if you have a bladder on your back, for every bladder, every liter that I go through, typically I will take a salt stick as well, just to kind of like keep that balance. I mean, that flexes depending on the temperature, but yeah, this is great tips for everybody running Cocodona this year. That's great. Sarah, do you have a story of when that? Well, I guess you did. You just told us about when that went wrong at Moab, and then how you had to recover. So that was my next question. You're jumping ahead. That's great. Maggie, what are your tips for how you manage that? Do you also do the 1-in-1? A lot of people do like mix Tailwind down to 50% strength. What do you do when you're running a long race like this?
Yeah, I always do the 1 water, 1 Tailwind, because if you get tired, you know, you feel sometimes even from drinking Tailwind, you can feel thirsty, so you just want water. And if you only have 2 Tailwind, then you're just gonna like not want to drink anything. Um, or you feel like oversalted or something. So I always have water. I didn't do that at Hard Rock, and I ran into some dehydration issues. And apparently, your feet, like, there's all kinds of side effects from being dehydrated besides like the normal. You're thirsty and overheated and like whatever. But I had terrible feet problems, so um, that was something I learned, that you just have to like not get caught up racing in the beginning and just like pay attention to all that so that you can like Sarah's pretty good at that. She'll just like run her own race, focus on like the things that you need to like, you know, don't rush through aid stations, get what you need, like when you don't have pacers reminding you to drink and things, keep doing that. And yeah, always have the water and the Tailwind. And like Sarah, this year we'll have Tailwind at the Crown King aid station. I think we're running the aid station or something to that effect. So there'll be Tailwind there, and we were working on a slushy thing happening. We'll see. And then, hey, maybe we can help out some crews with slushies as they're waiting. The ones that ventured all the way down that road maybe can get a like cold icy treat, provided it's hot. I'm sure it'll be hot. It's usually pretty hot there.
Yeah, my prediction on the year, it's been nice the past couple of years. I think it's going to be a really hot year. I mean, it's 2 months out, so it's hard to guess at this point, but that would be my guess, is it's going to be super hot. So that's you brought up, the foot swell, or a lot of people get the hand swell if your hydration or electrolyte balance is off. Some people, they're peeing all the time. It's clear. Like, how do you use those indicators to gauge, okay, I'm overhydrated, I'm underhydrated, I'm over electrolyte. What do you guys have indicators that you use when you're racing to know, like, oh man, something's off?
The hand swelling thing is hard. You can't really use it as an indicator because it could be either. It could be too much water, too much salt. It could be either, or if you're not used to altitude, when you get towards Flagstaff, it could be altitude. Sometimes they just swell because like you're just holding your hands weird and you're swinging them or something. Like it's not a great indicator. So I think you just pay attention to your peeing. Have you peed at all? Like what color it is, things like that. I think that's a better, right? Would you agree, Sarah?
Yeah, I'd agree. I've had my hands swell and I was like unsure exactly what was going on, but I thought back to like, okay, I've been drinking like, or how many bottles of Tailwind have I been drinking? And then in combination with like the bladder, the water from just the straight up water from the bladder. So try to remember what you've been doing and what you've been taking in to help kind of uh figure out like what the symptoms are telling you. Yeah, I'd say hand swelling is a little confusing sometimes, but yeah, try to remember like what you've been taking in and whether or not you need, yeah, and color of pee for whether or not you need, just more water or need to catch up on electrolytes. For me personally, it was like I definitely needed to catch up on electrolytes at
Yeah.
Moab 240.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at Moab too, that first day can be, in my experience, super hot because you're in the red rock and um, yeah, it can be really hot. Same with at Cocodona, it can be hot all of the days, but especially that first day. So your advice of taking the time to make sure that you get everything you need and slowing it down, that's really good advice for day one. Maggie, what you mentioned that Tailwind's going to be out at Crown King. Let's get back to that in a second. But what kind of products will our runners see out on the course, kind of in general at aid stations?
Yeah, they're gonna have the endurance fuel. So I think there's like 4 flavors. Watermelon, mandarin, naked, and raspberry, I think is what we're going with. So the raspberry has caffeine. So I'm sure, I don't know, however you guys decide to distribute, but it'll also be good to like bring some caffeinated stick packs in case that particular aid station doesn't have any, because people hit them at different times of the day. So like it might be good to carry your caffeine or whatever you're going to use for different parts. The thing I like about the Talon caffeine is it's like 75 milligrams of caffeine for a stick pack. So it's not that jolt to your heart rate where when you're super fatigued and you just like down 150 milligrams of caffeine, you kind of feel crappy. So it's like this nice, even little kind of like awake without feeling crazy. And then also what Sarah said, like if you are going to kind of like add the recovery into your routine, I think that's good to have with your crew. We're also working with the host hotels. So like if you're staying at like the Hampton Inn at the start line, you get a Tailwind swag bag type, or like a kit goodie bag thing. We're going to make sure you have rapid hydration, which is our electrolyte. It's like our newer product. So it's basically like a daily electrolyte. It's perfect for crews because you're going to be standing around. And maybe they don't want to guzzle, they're going to eat all the leftover sugar that the runner doesn't eat. But like, maybe use the hydration, the rapid hydration for, because crews don't take care of themselves. They don't sleep and you don't hydrate because you're just concerned about getting from A to B and like your runner and things. So that should be provided at the hotels too. That there's one at Whiskey Row too that'll be have that.
Yeah, that's
That's
awesome.
about it.
Well, you,
Yeah.
you guys are doing so much to provide Tailwind along the course at aid stations. We'll get a list of kind of the flavors and the different products that will be available at the aid stations, like you mentioned. We'll get that posted for the runners, as well as the swag bags for the hotels. If you're staying at a hotel with us, that is really cool. Um, how so? I highly recommend, if you haven't used Tailwind, we're going to have it at the aid stations. If you're running Cocodona, I recommend that you use the products in advance so you know how it works with your stomach. You know what like mix you like. You know how to use it. Is there a way that our runners can order Tailwind so they can train with it?
Yeah, I think Erica is going to post a link with a discount for everyone on social after this
Awesome.
at
Okay.
some
Yeah,
point.
we'll get that
Yeah.
linked as well, so you can order at a discount and train with it, because it's a really good idea to practice what you're going to be doing on race day. So that's great. And then Maggie did mention that Tailwind and Maggie and the crew will be at Crown King. So that's that end of that super hard first 30-mile stretch. with hopefully Tailwind slushies. You said we might be there with slushies. I'm like, well, we gotta get you there with slushies. Tailwind slushies sounds so good.
I'm pretty sure that's the plan. And then there is, yeah. So, and I've heard I vaguely remember coming through there the first year that I did it. But I think there's power there, so it should be fine.
Yeah, yeah, we can plan on it. We'll get the Tailwind slushies there. Cool. Anything else that either of you two want to add for the Cocodona runners?
Maggie mentioned pacers, like pacers helping you stay on top of drinking and electrolytes and all that. There are two like new sections that pacers are not allowed on. So I would just take advantage of like tailwind products you see along the course, like stock up so that you're like ready to go for like no pacer sections. And that you have all your supplies yourself and you're like prepared for those sections to kind of stay on top of. I know it like the mind starts to go at some of those points, especially depending on what time of day you're going through those. But yeah, just I'd tell the runners to like be prepared for those sections to kind of stay on top of electrolytes and hydration by yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, we do have the two sections that we can't have pacers accompany runners. That's because you're going through Mexican spotted owl territory, and we need to keep the numbers of people passing through those sections as low as we can. And that's between Foxborough Ranch and Munns for the 250 runners, and then again for the 250 runners, Fort Tuttle to Walnut Canyon. So that's great advice. I recommend pairing up with another runner through those sections or in a group of runners because you're right. Later on in the course, your brain gets a little fuzzy. So yeah, good advice. Well, awesome. I can't wait to see you both at Cocodona this year in May. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for supporting Cocodona, and I'm stoked to be able to finally have a race partnership with Tailwind. We're stoked for that.
Yeah, we are too.
Good. Well, sweet. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see y'all in May. And we're going to continue with some race updates now to keep going with the session. Thanks again for joining, and yeah, we'll get to some race updates now. So we have a few course changes that have happened over the little past little bit. I'm going to go into the course file now. If we can switch over, Jordan. There we go. Okay, so one change that just happened the other day is just before we cross the Verde River. So in between Jerome and Dead Horse aid stations. The past few years, we have crossed Tuesday Road before we continue to cross the Verde River. We're changing things up a little bit. It's always nice to avoid road crossings, especially this one. We got pretty heavy big truck traffic that comes across Tuesday Road. It's a curve right there, so it's always giving me a little bit of pause to cross that road. Now we're going to jump onto a little single track, go right by the Verde River, jump underneath the bridge there. And so that's a little bit of a build your own trail that we're going to be out building. It's a low bridge, so you got to watch your head. We're going to put some lights there overnight, and then you jump back onto the single track. So this little section right here changed a couple of weeks ago. And then you cross the Verde River right before you go into Dead Horse. So you will definitely get your feet wet crossing the Verde River. Typically, it's just under calf height. It's a really nice respite from the heat if you're coming through during the day. And then a lot of people go with a shoe change there, sock and shoe change at Dead Horse. That is a drop bag aid station. So all three distances that come through here, so the 250, the 125, and the Mingus Traverse all have that little course adjustment. We've got another course change just after Dead Horse. So in the olden days, in 2021, we came straight through on the Lime Kiln Trail. And in years since, we've had to kind of route around that. This section of the course right here, the Lime Kiln Trail, goes through a section with a lot of Arizona cliff rose plants. Those are a threatened species of plant here in Arizona. So we bypassed that the past couple of years to go by going on to the Raptor Hill Trail and then coming down onto the Thumper Trail before continuing on Limekiln. We have another change this year that we're going onto the Bones Trail and then jumping right back onto Raptor. So this change just happened yesterday. The course Caltopo files have been updated, and we're working on getting all the section descriptions and stuff updated. Also, so that added just under a mile right there. Now we have avoided all but one Arizona cliff rose plant. So we just entirely avoid this area with a heavy concentration of plants that are only found in this area in Arizona. So little change right there. Added a little bit of mileage. The Cocodona 250 is now 256.0. Always nice to get extra miles in our runs. Okay, and then a couple of other course adjustments that we have. Let me look at my notes. So I just ran the other day. We had a course change way back when the big course changes happened a few months ago. But I just ran the other day to refresh my memory on the Hangover Trail, one of the coolest trails in the world. This is a classic Sedona single track section here, this section of the Hangover Trail. So we leave Sedona, all distances that are going through here, the 125 and the 250, climb up Schnebley Hill Road. We get onto Munn's Wagon Trail and then jump onto the Hangover Trail. So this trail does go through some areas where there is a little bit of exposure. If you are very scared of heights, it may be something that you that throws you off a bit. Otherwise, the other thing about it is there is some steep slick rock and off camber slick rock travel. So slick rock is not slick at all. It's more like sandpaper. If you are used to traveling on slick rock, you'll notice that there's no problem at all. You can basically go straight up a vertical wall almost. But if you're not used to traveling on slick rock, that can be a little unnerving, especially with the exposure that we have in this section. So we're going to send out a link to areas all over the United States where you can train on a slick rock type trail, just so you can get experience. If you haven't ever been on slick rock, it'd be a good idea to get onto it. Again, completely safe through this area. There's really nothing to be concerned about. It's only if you kind of are that outlier with some exposure, really throws you off. But it is the most amazing section. I would put this section of the course against any running race course in the world for beauty. So you really are in for a treat. One other change that we've had, so the 125 distance has a 40-mile stretch from Munns Park to Fort Tuthill, where they used to not be able to swap out pacers. There are 2 aid stations through that 40-mile stretch. You've got, for the 125, you got Kelly Canyon and Homestead, but you couldn't swap out pacers. So we figured out a place where you can swap out pacers. It's not quite halfway. It's a little bit shy of halfway between that 40-mile stretch, but we've got a place where pacers can park, hike in. It's 0.7 of a mile to the 125 course, and your old pacer can hike out. That is pacer swap only, no crew access. We will have a staff member out there checking to make sure the pacers have all the required gear, because it is required. And again, you can't provide any support. You cannot be provided any support from your crew or the pacer. They can't bring you any food or water. It's just a swap of pacer location. So those are the changes of the course, and we can flip right back to Jordan. You want to flip right back? There we go. So those are the course updates that have happened just now. The course file, the training sections, the section descriptions, the mileages, those are all be updated here in the coming days. Another thing I wanted to go through as an education piece, especially for new Cocodona runners, are drop bags. So drop bags are available for all 4 distances. You can drop a drop bag at the start line and it'll be transported and meet you along the course. All distances can drop those drop bags at packet pickup, except the Mingus Traverse. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, but you can drop bags at packet pickup or on race morning at the start line. You can do either one. You can do a mix of both. If you don't have your drop bags ready the night before at packet pickup, you can just drop them at the start line, whichever is easier. Mingus Traverse, we only have the drop bag available to drop at the start line on race morning, not at packet pickup. We want you to label those drop bags with your bib number, which you don't have yet, and your name. So I realize it's probably pretty early. You're not labeling drop bags yet, but when you do, it's your bib number and the name of the aid station. I think I said your name, not your name. Bib number and aid station name. So it would be like bib number 234, Dead Horse. The reason it's important not to put the mileage of the aid station is so that we don't get confused and maybe pull somebody's drop bag off the course if a runner dropped, or we're trying to shuffle a drop bag ahead. Having the mileage of the aid station often throws our drop bag crew off. So just your bib number and your name clearly labeled. We ask that you limit the size of drop bags to 60 liters. That is about 2 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. That's the size of a kind of a mid-sized duffel bag. Plastic bags, trash bags, aren't the greatest drop bags. They usually come untied. They break open. So we will be giving every runner a bag that's a drop bag that they can be used on the course as a runner gift. So stay tuned for those. We'll have some examples of that later as the race gets closer. Every distance there is a direct to finish drop bag. So at the start line, you can drop off a drop bag that'll go straight to the finish. Again, we ask for those people traveling internationally, we realize it's a little bit harder, but we ask that you try to keep that to that 60-liter drop bag size, even for the direct to finish drop bags. A lot of these drop bags will be out in the elements. We're going to shade them from the sun as much as we can in the super hot locations, but know that your drop bags will be out in the sun, and if it's raining, doubtful, that it'll also be exposed to the elements. Kind of 2/3 of the way down the course, or 1/3 of the way down the course, I think it starts at Dead Horse, we're going to have you move your drop bags to a used drop bag pile, and that's so that after you've passed through, you move your drop bag to the used pile. Periodically, we take those used drop bags to the finish line. The beginning of the course, we sweep all those when the aid station closes and take it to the finish line. But make sure, if you want later in the course drop bags reunited with you at the finish line, you've got to move those to the used drop bag pile. Or even better yet, if you have crew, have your crew pick up your drop bags. We be sure when you're putting together your plan for drop bags, you look at the required gear at different sections, because you definitely, if you don't have crew, you want those pieces of required gear with you at certain aid stations where we're checking that gear. The sleep stations, if you're planning out your sleep in advance, many of the aid stations are indoor sleep locations, so you don't need a sleeping bag. A sleeping bag liner maybe is all that you might want. There are outdoor sleeping locations, so places where we have a tent with a cot inside, multiple camping tents set up with multiple cots. That is a place where you may want a sleeping bag in your drop bags. So as you are planning out your drop bags in the coming weeks, consider all of these things. And then I highly recommend, I will probably say it again, but you should just keep your ID, your driver's license, your credit card, and your car keys with you in your pack at all times. Don't throw those in your drop bags. That's something that we have much experience trying to reunite people with their car keys at the race. We have the final days of the Garmin giveaway. We've got Garmin is a partner of Cocodona. They're giving away an Enduro 3. That GPS watch has a 320-hour battery life, which is pretty incredible. That's about twice as long as it'll take anyone to do Cocodona. So check those details out. They were posted in social. They also went out to an email to all runners already, but March 10th is the last day to do what you need to do to enter that, which is donate to our scholarship fund and also make a social media post and tag Garmin. So those instructions were already sent out to you. March 10th is the final day for that giveaway. We've got a trail work day coming up in Cocodona on March 22nd, put together by our nonprofit partner Wilderness Volunteers. Volunteer sign up for Cocodona is moving right along. We're 50% full, meaning we've got hundreds and hundreds of volunteer shifts still open, ranging from course sweep, aid station volunteers, sports therapy program volunteers. So that's massage, stretching, PT, taping, all those sort of things. We have those opportunities, and live stream volunteer shifts will open this weekend as well. So those are coming up open in just a little bit of time. We've gotten quite a few questions about our merchandise line. We will have a full line of merchandise for all distances available very soon. That'll get posted to the website. I'll send out links to that in a runner email. We'll also have merchandise for sale at the race. Most of the packet pickup locations have merchandise for your race distance and then as well at the finish line. And we'll also have pacer and crew merchandise available as well. So thank you so much for joining on another Cocodona info session. This is the first info session in March. Thanks for joining. We can't wait to see you in May. Happy training and 2 months out.